new dog named Gia. Yeah, you're a little skittish, huh? All these dogs. I just took her in. I just temperament tested her. Tested her with other dog. Made sure she didn't lose her mind. Stuff like that. She did well. Took her in. The guy said she tried to get out of her crate, which is the cause of all the marks on her face. I'm trying to get a closer look at it. I'm not really exactly sure at this point. It looks like it could be possible fight, maybe a cage fight, who knows. Sometimes they'll fight through the cage, because he came from other dogs. He had other dogs there. I mean, that looks like, kind of road rashy, rug burnish, who knows. Trying to stick his nose under the crate to push it open, or push his way through, and scuffed up his head, his nose. Oh, you're gonna take a dump. Just don't dump on the leash. Anyway, I'll let her check out the yard and everything, smell everything for a little while. I heard you doing a little digging. Nope. You get a little separation anxiety. That just made the day more interesting. Yep. I gotta try to acclimate her into the kennel now with all the other dogs and the stress and the noise and whatnot. Get her used to it in a calm way. It's a pain because, I'm going to put her in there and then I'm going to leave, and then she's going to get going and get all the other dogs going. So, I'm going to go set up a kennel and see how that goes. We'll try it without doing much of anything at first. Watch this. That's bad. That's bad. That's what's going to happen when I go put her in the kennel. And that's going to cause everyone to go crazy. Let's see how that goes. Oh yeah. Watch what happens by the time I get to the front. As soon as I'm out of sight. I just met this dog. Hey. Buddy, hush. Buddy, no. No. I usually don't like to put too much pressure on a new dog, but I'm gonna have to. Quiet down these noise makers. Thank you. Stay. Shh. Nope. Stay. Coma, hush. No. Nope. No. Place. Place. Nope. No. All the way down. So that kind of energy brings to a kennel. It's crazy. Relax. No. Hey. No. Got all the smells in the air. Smelling who's that new dog. I know. No. No. Seems like that's maybe the best I'll get out of now until she relaxes on her own a bit. No. No. So when I get the most out of her as far as relaxation or calmness goes, I'll take the pressure off and go. Hush. What's your name? Sugar. No. No. Relax. Oh, I wish I could help. Alright, I think we got through it. Enough to keep going. That's good. Listen closely. That's good. Rocco. So far so good. She's being pretty quiet. The only one making noise is Chloe. Well, we're going to put a stop to that. Good boy, Rocky. I can hear Chloe jumping around. Jumping around. Good boy. He never comes to the front on his own without being asked. So that's how you could tell everyone's curious about the new dog smell. Look at you, peeing on the floor and whatnot. And that's all I'll have to do. Just put it on her. I don't even have to turn her on. She'll relax now. That's good. That's very good. Where did we leave off? You guys are all set. Still quiet. Just got everybody calmed down. Looks good. If she's doing good, I'm going to reward her by letting her out. Very good. She won't pick up on that's why yet, but she did. Day 3 and she picked up on it. And you want to come out? You gotta be calm. Good. And now I'm running low on space, so I'm not going to be able to go much further, but I'm going to just take her on a nice structured walk in a little bit. I'm just going to let her out for a few minutes now, just as a reward, and then later on we'll take her for a walk and tire her out a little bit and see how she does. Out here, I don't want to make life too exciting. She has to have some kind of rules and structure to follow. If things are too exciting and it's a free-for-all out here, then when I put her back in the kennel, she'll be more anxious to come out, which will cause her to have anxiety, separation anxiety, kennel stress, that sort of thing. So we want to kind of, for now at least, have life be a little bit dull. And then when we do start introducing excitement, play, and whatnot, it's got to be more structured. And then the way she goes back in and the way she comes out also has to be structured. So we're going to put her back in a few minutes and see how she does the second time. Oh, I didn't put a sign up yet. Which one is it? This one. Come. Awesome. Good girl. That almost never happens. Okay, so let's see how she does. So far better than the first time. I don't hear that whining and high-pitched barking. Come. Good girl. No. Sit. Sit. No. Yeah, the second time was quicker, but we kind of had to start over again. That was good. Because, I could hear her panting a little bit. She's starting to relax on her own now. But you see how the second time was a little bit easier. But I'll have to repeat it again, next time, the time after that, a few more times, and then she'll start to get it. Much better. Come here, Coma. Good girl. Okay, so now we're going to take her out. Down. Good girl, stay. And take her out on a walk. That's good. That noise scare you a little bit. Kennel stress fixed in about an hour. Her separation anxiety, same thing. Not fixed, we'll still have to maintain, but she's got the idea. Look at her. Good. Good girl. She knows that's the exit. She says, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, I want to get out of here. Come here. Sit. Good. I'm going to take her on a nice structured walk now, which is something you should see. Obviously, she's not that great on leash. Here. No, here. She's not so good on leash. Nope, here. 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 Okay. So I'm about, 300 yards away now. She's doing really good. You know, at first, not so much. Here. Right there. But she's definitely got it. So that's good. She's doing really good. She's learned that soft correction means the same as the firm one, so she might as well listen to the soft one. And that's good. We passed a couple dogs. We got charged by a dog. That was a little exciting, but not too bad. There's a squirrel. Nope. So a little bit more excitement in my other hand. There we go. No. Here. Much better. Here. Right there. Here. 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 Oh. There we go. What do you think? You've never seen the water before.
Okay, I just want to explain a little bit about what we saw there, what happened today. We had a new dog come in. Her name is actually Kira. The guy said Gia, but on the vet records it said Kira. He wasn't the actual owner, so I went with the name on the records. But I noticed, quite early on, and based on what the guy said, the marks on the face and everything, that she was going to have some separation anxiety, which in a kennel situation translates to kennel stress. And what happens in a case like that is she stresses out, whines, they'll whine, bark, they'll jump up and down on the walls or on the front doors of the cage, drool, they won't eat, or they'll throw up and get diarrhea. All the stress causes, digestive issues and immune system issues. They'll get real skinny, sick. The anxiety just builds up so bad, eventually they'll become aggressive towards people, towards other dogs. very like controlling behavior, like, oh, I have to, there's a dog, I have to get it, oh, I have to control it. They get really, really wound up. This guy here, come here, Fuzzy, come here, Fuzzy. Oh, he was a serious kennel stress case back in his day when he was at the shelter. Oh, hello. And he went through all those phases. He's probably one of the worst I've ever seen. And he got sent off to board and train. They did a little work with him over there. From there he went to another kennel. They had more of a room situation that they were going to put him in, and then they got bombarded with like a bunch of elderly dogs. So they ended up putting him back in a kennel, and he got skinny and sick again, and even worse than the first time. And when we got him back, that's when I had just started working where I work now. And so when I met him, he was very skinny and sick, and I did a lot of work with him. There's past videos of him, or with him in it, you know. But yeah, it took a lot of work with him, and he ended up coming home with me. We developed a really close bond, and he was just the kind of dog that nobody really understood how to handle. He had a different approach that he needed, and we really worked well together, and I just really didn't see anybody else ever taking him. He was 8 months old when he was, was he 8? No, 6, maybe 6 months old. When he was first brought in. Before there, he was in a pound. So, God, he was almost 3, 2.5, 3 when I took him. So he had spent all of his life pretty much living in a kennel, going through that high stress, and that's what made it so bad. So when I take a new dog in like this, I know it seems counterproductive, because most people's instinct when they're dealing with anxiety or stress with like a child or something is to soothe. Oh, it's okay, everything's gonna be okay, don't worry, you know, do that sort of thing. And it seems counterproductive to what human instinct would be. But what you really want to do is correct and address that behavior, and just let them know, hey, I don't like that. And every time she started to react, I would go over to her kennel and address her, correct her. So what I ended up doing was putting an e-collar on her, which I typically don't do. I don't like to put that much pressure on a new dog in the beginning, but with kennel stress or separation anxiety, I had to do something, because it causes such a reaction amongst all the other dogs as well. So once they start going, then the whole kennel's going, and it makes her worse, and therefore makes everybody worse. So if that wasn't addressed at all, if I never addressed that with any of the dogs, and I just took this dog in and I put her in there, everybody would be going crazy. You know, there would be the exceptional few that just try to tune it out. Those dogs end up almost getting depressed, because they are going kind of a little crazy in their head, but they just try to pretend it's not happening and bury their head in the sand about it. But it just creates a really stressful environment. So it's very important to address it. Whether you believe in an e-collar or not is besides the point, because the outcome is far worse if I do nothing. So ideally, what I would normally do, I would get her out, you know, like let her adjust for a couple days, then get her out, start doing a little e-collar work with the leash, you know, getting her accustomed to the e-collar. Then I would teach her place, and then I would bring that into the kennel. And whenever she's, you know, not calm, basically, I'll put her in her place, and you'll see probably most of the dogs will do that. Sometimes they don't always take you seriously. You have to open the door, and then they take you seriously. or you have to physically kind of go in and guide them. No, you know what I want you to do, go to your place. But, you know, you have to do it. You can't not do it. So I put the e-collar on her, and every time she showed the slightest bit of anxiety, whether it was that like monkey whining sound that you hear sometimes, or, you know, barking or jumping or anything, what I wanted her to do, since the only command I know that she grasped was sit, was just to sit and be calm. So every time she started doing that, I would correct, come over, address, let her know what I wanted. I want you to sit. When she did it to me, I'd walk away. So every time she starts acting up, I come over and I put pressure on her. Dog typically doesn't, you know, feel comfortable. It makes them uncomfortable to have that pressure on them. When they give up for me, I walk away. So when they're calm, I walk away. Whenever they're calm, like you see them nice and relaxed, and I walk in, sometimes they'll go right to their place even, just because they want me to pick them. Because when they're calm, that's when I'll go over and I'll open up their sliders. So they start to figure out after a while that if they're just relaxing and waiting, then I'm going to come over and let them out. But of course I don't always. I mean, if you have 20 dogs in there, I'm only going to pick you 1 out of 20 times, basically, because I got to go through everybody. But basically, I have to address those behaviors. So what I'm asking the dog to do, basically, is wait for me and be calm while you're in there. She has to be calm in order to get out, and then while she's outside, I can't allow her life to be too exciting. It can't be a free-for-all. She can't chase whatever squirrel she wants or get too excited, because when I put her back in the kennel, all she's going to want is to be back out, to have that free reign to do whatever she wants. So when she's outside, it has to be very structured. You know, a lot of like training type stuff, or if you're doing play or incorporating training into it. So like, say if I'm playing fetch with her, for instance, I'm going to throw the ball, you know, I'm going to make her sit or give me eye contact or both before I throw the ball, or maybe I'll have her stay for a while and walk around her, throw the ball around. After she stayed for a minute, then I'll reward her by throwing the ball, that sort of thing, so that she has to use her mind while she's out, as well as, you know, draining the energy that she has. Walk has to be very structured. She can't be out leading around, sniffing whatever she wants, barking at whoever, or doing all the things that she wants, which is what she was allowed to do. I could tell. So it's important to keep things structured and balanced. And the way I put her in and what I ask her to do and the way I take her out makes a huge difference. So if you're at home and you're dealing with separation anxiety, most people's instinct is, okay, the dog gets stressed out as probably you're getting ready to go to work. It'll start following you around. It may start whining, doing all those things. So those are the earlier stages of it. And then as you leave, you know, might follow you to the door, and you close the door, you start hearing the whining or the barking or whatever the dog does. Then you leave, and who knows, it destroys things, or if it's in a crate, it tries to get out like this dog was doing, injures itself. They'll like try to push their nose under the bottom bar of it and start bending it and try to squeeze out. They'll sometimes get stuck in there. Luna did that when she was a puppy. It was a mess for a while, and there's just crap in there and pee in there and get all caked in it. Yeah, if you're at home and you leave your house and you say, "It's okay, Mommy will be home," and then you actually like walk out the door feeling bad for the dog because you feel bad knowing what, you know, the dog is going to go through while you're home, makes it even worse. But that's what people's natural instinct to do is. But what you want to do really is, in those early stages, you want to address that behavior. You want to teach them place, so that when they start following you around the house as you're getting ready and blow drying your hair and they start whining or something, you're going to put them in their place and make them have some alone wait time. Because you want them to be calm while you're getting ready and then when you leave. So you're going to put them in a place or a downstay, do your thing, and leave. Don't say goodbye to them, don't talk to them, just leave. And then that will that will help with the initial mental separation of you going out the door and you feeling anxious as you leave. When you come back home, same thing. You walk in the door, if they get all excited, whatever, come over and start wiggling, you're just going to ignore them, set your keys down, walk. You could stand there and just ignore them and let them smell you, because they're probably going to do that. And then afterwards, when they calm down, then you can squat down and invite them over to pet them and say hello. But you always want to keep that initial first interaction calm. Or, if they got to go to the bathroom, you could take them out, but wait till they're calm. Don't reward them as soon as you get home while they're all excited and still anxious by going out or giving them a bunch of "Mommy missed you" or whatever. Let them calm down first and then go out and do everything structured, and that'll help you with separation anxiety, believe it or not. Because they miss you, they miss the things that you give them, and if you give them everything freely when you're there, it's going to be worse when you're not, because they kind of view you as a resource, and they're mad, they're upset when you leave because they don't have all those things that they want. So the more you structure it, the more you become the source for their needs rather than the resource. Somebody asked me about that today, and it was a guarding issue, and basically I remember as a kid, you'd come across a video game in the arcade that would give you free credits, and then you'd be playing that video game holding your pee because you didn't want to leave it because somebody else would come along and start playing it, and then they'd figure it out, and then you'd never get it back. So you kind of guard that machine, but if I had to put quarters in it, then I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be holding my pee. I would just go to the bathroom and come back and wait in line if somebody else was playing it and put my quarters in and play. Because the machine had less value if I had to work for it, believe it or not. If it was free, then I wanted to, keep it to myself, which is basically the issue that these people were having. So if you freely give things to your dog while you're home, when you're not home, they kind of protest about it. They'll destroy things. Some dogs will protest pee or poop while you're gone. It's like you just let them out and then you left and you came back an hour later and they peed and pooped in your house. That's more of a protest. They're mad that you left and they're saying that they don't agree with it. So in some respects, they look at you as beneath them because you're supposed to be the thing that's there freely giving them whatever they want. And you leave? How dare you? Crap on your floor. So one of the dilemmas that I face, and if it's a home environment, family situation, you could see the same thing, is that I'll do everything in a structured manner and I'll make progress like I did today. And when I come in tomorrow, who knows what I'm going to find. I could find a drooling mess. She could have peed all over the place. Who knows? Even injured herself, maybe pushing against the cage or something and bleeding. I don't know what I'm going to find in the morning. And a lot of that is when I leave, other crews come in. There's several different people that handle the dogs, walk the dogs, and do all the things with the dogs in their own way. So a lot of people will come in with those instincts of, oh, it's okay, don't be sad, and they try to soothe it out of them. And when you soothe them, all it does is encourage the mental state that they're in. So basically, any kind of affection or petting that you're giving them, or food, or whatever you think it is that's going to make them feel better, a lot of people will use distraction tools like bobble toys and things, or give them bones to chew on to keep them busy. But all that stuff is really just rewarding that behavior that you don't want. I mean, some of the distraction tools seem like they work for a minute, but They really don't. They did that with him a lot, bobble toys, which is like a plastic thing and you put food in it and they bang it around and then little pieces of food fall out so they could try to get it. And now he has this idea in his head from years of that like if I have a jar of peanuts, so the plastic jar, he thinks that that's a thing that he can bat around and chew on and try to get the rewards out of it. And he's done that a couple times with like peanuts or any kind of plastic jar like that. He'll try to tear it apart and see what's on the inside of it and try to get treats out of it. But yeah, people tend to do the wrong things and use the wrong tools. They got all these stupid tools that they'll try to sell you. So if they're at night letting the dogs just lead the way on the walk and just taking them out in the yard, it's all play, 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 high-pitched voices, excitement, you know. Everything's freely given, treats are freely given, you know, just because they look cute or because people want the dog to like them, so they'll, you know, spoil them. That just makes it a lot harder, so I'll have to go in, start over in the morning, and get her used to the idea that I want. And what usually ends up happening is the dogs are very calm during the day when I'm there. Every time they're not, it's addressed. So they see me as the person who's going to do that. They don't see me as the person who freely gives them whatever. They don't view me as a playmate or as excitement or whatever. They view me as their leader. And that's why, because I do all of the things. I address all of their needs, and some of those needs are being corrected. Changing their mental state, you know. And when I come in and out of the kennel, they know what I expect from them, so they offer it without even being asked. But when other people come in, the whole kennel changes, you know, because these people come in and they represent, oh, that's the person who always takes me for a walk and lets me sniff and has the treat pouch and gives me treats, and, you know, so they get really excited. They get anxious to come out, so they start getting that kennel anxiety again. They bark at that person, and then when they get out, they all pull on the leash, you know. They'll do all the things that I try to train out of them, so it really makes it hard when everyone's not on the same page. But when you're dealing with 80 some odd volunteers that, you know, are all handling the dogs, it's hard to keep everyone on track, because most of these people I never see, first of all, and second of all, some of them are just, you know, they just don't get it, or they really can't be bothered, that sort of thing. But so it's really hard to get them all on the same page. So at the end of this video anyways, when I took her for a walk, she started out pulling. She started to grasp that I wanted her to stop every time I had to open the doors and the gates, and then not to barge through. And then by the time we got through the parking lot and around the corner to the street, she got the idea that I wanted her to stay at my side. And just as we rounded the corner, this Burmese mountain dog just comes flying to the end of the driveway, barking and charging at us. Well, she jumped and started reacting towards the dog. I pulled her around, gave her a little correction. She stopped, looked back once, gave her a little leash correction. She stopped, we kept going. It wasn't too bad. And then as we got up towards the park on the way in, there were two dogs coming down and they were getting in their car. We passed them like it was no event at all, and they were really calm, chill dogs. And then as we started around the lake, the path kind of weaves in and out, and you can't really see around the shrubs and stuff. So as we were coming around, we came across this girl who was walking two dogs, and she was having a little difficulty handling them, and they started pulling towards us, and they had like the harnesses with the handles and stuff on them. So what she ended up doing was pulling them off to the side and holding onto those handles and like squatting down and holding them back. like that, so they started lunging up on their back feet and they were barking at us, and so she reacted pretty good to that. So the dogs that were reacting, she was definitely more reactive to. On the way back around the Burmese mountain dog, when we passed him again, he was still outside, and he did the same thing again, reacted, came running to the end of the driveway, and I gave her one correction, and then I got her attention, told her no. We turned around, went back down, and passed again. This time when we passed, she just looked at me the whole time and didn't focus at all on the dog, who was still barking and stuff at her. So I think she's really workable as far as, you know, everything goes with consistency. What usually happens is I can only walk the dogs maybe one walk a day, you know, times however many dogs we have coming in and out. So typically I'll walk each dog maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. So my influence is a lot less than everybody else's. And if half the people are letting her lead the way and stuff, then she will more than likely become very leash reactive. So the scenario here is not addressing and correcting and letting the dog know what we want from them immediately would have caused severely high kennel stress, would have made her sick and just been horrible, coupled with being walked and ending up with like extreme leash reactivity while walking past other dogs and who knows what else. That's why we had to come down pretty hard on her right off the bat. I had to put a lot of pressure on her. I had to introduce her to the e-collar and use it specifically as a correction tool. Normally I start out a little bit more gradual, and really had to put more pressure on her than I think she was comfortable with. She definitely kept looking for the exit and running over towards the exit because she knew that's how she came in, and she keeps thinking in her mind, that's the way out, let's go, I want to go back home. It takes them usually about 3 days to get over that. That's average. When you bring in a new dog, they start to get over that, and then they start to figure out the new routine and start to maybe give up on the idea that that's going to happen. And then by about 3 weeks, they're typically fully adjusted. They know the routine, and they stop expecting that their owner is going to come or that they're going to go back home. A lot of times, if you have somebody that says, "Can I visit the dog?" No, because what happens is, say 3 or 4 weeks down, and you got the dog fully adjusted, and the owner comes back, and then they start thinking again, I know where the exit is, I know the way out, I want to get out of here, and you start all over. It's like those first 3 days, and then the next couple of weeks again, because you know, they saw the owner again, and they think there's some possibility that they're going to go back. But you know, this dog, when I was able to get a pretty good look at her, she has a nice, like, and it looks a little pussy, like rug burn looking mark on her head. She's got those marks on her face, and she had some symmetrical marks on the side of her face that I thought were possibly teeth, you know, because they're just like perfectly lined up. But then I noticed she has like marks on both sides of the face that looks like where she was pressing through was like doing something like that. So she does have the marks that show that she was forcing her way through a crate. I mean, whatever happens, a lot of times with these dogs in their past, half the time when the people come in, they're not really honest in the first place. So you got to kind of feel it out. And what happens in the past is not always important to me. I mean, some of the stories are pretty sad, but I usually just take it from this is the first day, man, these are the rules here, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is your life, right now. So we just move forward from that moment on. And not doing that, not taking over and, you know, addressing those behaviors and certain issues and things can really wreak havoc on the entire kennel, and it's just a bad thing. It's a bad thing. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the pound, places that have 40 or 80 dogs, and they don't address those behaviors, you know. Some of them will completely shut down. The ones I was talking about, they look depressed and everything, they'll completely shut down. So when you look them in the eyes, their eyes are vacant, like they're not even there. And I think it is almost like a hypnotic trance, like outer body projection. Maybe in their mind they're just daydreaming that they're somewhere else, and they just stare at the floor and space out. Those kind of dogs, you really have to, it takes a little bit to pull them back out of their shell, back out into reality, and then, you know, readjust their life and show them all new things and whatnot, you know. But it's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool when it happens. I had this one dog that was like seriously neglected and abused on purpose. A couple was splitting, going through a divorce, and it was the husband's dog, and the wife ended up with the dogs in her care, and because it was the husband's dog, she kind of took out her frustrations or whatever on the dog. And then when the husband finally got custody back of the dog, she was shut down completely, locked in a bathroom, starved, skinny, sick, hair falling out. You could see every rib and hip bone on this dog, and her face was all sunk in. But the worst part of the whole thing was she was just like out of it. And you could look her right in the eye and go like this, and like there was nobody there. And it took a while just to like, come on, follow me, let's go. And get her out of her shell and force her to do things, you know. But that's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do for these dogs.